My key didn't fit the lock. I stood there on the porch, twisting it once, twice, feeling the metal scrape and catch, refusing to turn, as if the house itself had decided I was no longer welcome. A cold wind crawled up my spine. I stared at that door, the same door I had walked through every single day for 12 years, and for a moment, the world just stopped. I called my dad. He picked up on the second ring. "Dad, what is going on?" His voice came back calm. Too calm. Practiced. "Olivia, sweetheart, this decision is better for you. You'll understand soon." And behind him, I could hear Emily, my stepmother, adding gently, "You'll be better off. Liv." That was the exact moment something inside me switched off. Not broke, not shattered, just switched. Like a circuit going dark. My name is Olivia Hart. I am 34 years old, a corporate project manager, a professional overthinker, and apparently the very last person on earth to know what my own family had been doing behind my back. My dad raised me alone after my mother passed away. Emily came into our lives when I was 19, and I welcomed her. I genuinely believed we were a family. I believed loyalty meant something in this house, in this life we had built together. But standing on my own front porch, locked out of my own home, their voices echoing in my ear like a verdict being read aloud, I felt something I had never felt before. Clarity. Not sadness. Not rage. Just razor-sharp, bone-cold clarity. I sat down slowly on the porch steps. I opened my phone, and I texted my lawyer. They took the bait. File everything. The screen blinked. My lawyer replied within seconds. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" I looked at the locked door one more time and whispered to no one more than ever. People think betrayals happen suddenly, like a door slamming in your face, but mine started quietly, dripping into my life like a leaking faucet I kept choosing to ignore. It began 6 months before that morning. My dad and Emily started checking in more frequently than usual, asking strangely specific questions about my finances, my savings account, my work schedule, my mortgage details. Emily even offered to help me reorganize my important documents, and God help me, I actually thought it was an act of kindness. I thought she was trying to be the mother figure she had always quietly wanted to be for me. I did not realize it was reconnaissance. Then came the comments. Casual at first, wrapped in warmth. "Liv, you're always so stressed. Maybe you should let us manage a few things for you. You don't really need such a big house all by yourself, sweetheart. Downsizing is healthy for the mind." I brushed them off. Every family meddles. Mine just happened to meddle with a level of coordination that should have alarmed me far sooner than it did. The real fracture appeared the night of Emily's 50th birthday dinner. She leaned across the table, smiling sweetly, crystal glass in hand, and said, "Olivia, darling, we were thinking, this house is too much responsibility for one person. Maybe you should consider something smaller." My jaw tightened. I looked at my father, waiting for him to say something, anything, to defend me. He just quietly sipped his wine. He didn't even meet my eyes. That night, when I got home, I noticed things were slightly off. Drawers shifted a few inches. Folders sitting at odd angles. Someone had been going through my personal files. So I made a decision right then and there. If they wanted to play a game, I would be the one to design the board. Revenge Chronicles has seen stories of betrayal before, but what happened next in Olivia's life was something else entirely. The weeks that followed felt like living beside a silent earthquake. No destruction visible yet, but the ground vibrating underneath every single step. My dad became secretive. He stopped picking up my calls on the first ring. Emily would answer instead, always with the same syrupy script. "Oh, sweetheart, he's just resting. You know how easily he gets overwhelmed." Overwhelmed. My father ran a construction company for 30 years. The man could outwork a bulldozer on his worst day. Then the mail started disappearing. Important bank statements, legal notifications, gone. When I confronted Emily about it, she laughed lightly and said, "Oh, Liv, maybe you just misplaced them. You've been so scatterbrained lately." Scatterbrained. Right. But the breaking point, the moment I knew exactly what I was dealing with, came one Sunday morning when I walked into their house without calling ahead. I heard them whispering in the kitchen. Emily's voice first. Once the papers are finalized, she'll have no choice. Then my father. It's for her own good, Em. She won't fight it. And Emily again, quieter but sharper. She trusts us too much. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might stop breathing entirely. Papers. Finalize. What papers? They went completely silent the moment they saw me standing in the doorway. Emily smiled too wide. My dad stared at the floor. That was when everything clicked into place. They were not helping me. They were maneuvering me, steering me, preparing to take something from me that I had spent 12 years building. So I did what every intelligent woman eventually does when she realizes the people she trusted have been playing chess while she thought they were having dinner. I stopped reacting, and I started recording every single conversation. The real betrayal didn't happen in whispers. It happened on a Wednesday morning under a sky so bright it felt like the universe itself was mocking me. My dad had called the night before, insisting we needed to talk about something important. His voice sounded urgent, almost shaky. For one terrible moment, I feared he was sick, that something was medically wrong, and despite everything I felt my heart lurch with the love of a daughter who still hoped she was wrong about all of it. I took a half day from work and drove over. When I turned onto my street, I froze. A moving truck sat in my driveway. Two men I had never seen in my life were carrying my furniture out of my front door. My couch, my bookshelf, the antique mirror I bought on my first solo trip to Europe. I ran toward them. "What are you doing?" "Stop." One of the movers barely glanced up. "Ma'am, we're just following the order. The house has been sold." Sold. That single word hit me like a physical blow to the chest. I stood there on the driveway of my own $770,000 home, and the ground felt like it had dissolved beneath my feet. Then Emily stepped outside. Sunglasses on, iced coffee in hand, casual as a Sunday afternoon. "Oh, Liv, you're early. We didn't think you'd be home until tonight." A slow, nauseating smile curled on her lips. My father stood just behind her, eyes cast downward, hands in his pockets, a man who could not bring himself to look at his own daughter. Emily spoke first. "We sold the house for your own good. You weren't managing your money wisely, and this was simply the responsible thing to do." My throat burned. "You forged my signature," I said. My voice was quiet, frighteningly quiet, even to my own ears. Emily's smile sharpened like a blade. "Let's not be dramatic, Olivia." And then she added, in a whisper clearly designed to cut as deep as possible, "You should thank us." The world tilted, and something inside me went dangerously, beautifully still. They thought I was powerless. They thought I had come here to fall apart. I did not scream. I did not cry. I did not grab the door frame of the home they had stolen from underneath me. Instead, I stood in that driveway, watching my life being loaded into boxes by strangers, and I felt every raw emotion drain out of my body like water through a cracked glass. What settled in its place was not grief. It was precision. Emily kept talking, absolutely reveling in what she believed was her own brilliance. "You'll stay with us for a while. We already moved some of your things to the guest room. It's better this way, Liv. You're too emotional to handle a mortgage on your own. Too emotional." Funny how that phrase always shows up right before someone gets completely crushed. My father tried to mumble something that might have been the beginning of an apology, but I held up one hand, calm and steady, and said, "Don't explain. I understand perfectly now." And I did. I understood everything, down to the bone. What they did not understand, what neither of them could have possibly imagined, was this. Revenge Chronicles listeners, here is where everything changes. I had already suspected them. Weeks before this morning, I had already replaced every important document in that house with clean copies stored safely with my attorney. I had already worked with my lawyer to legally transfer the deed into a protected trust under my sole name. I had already filed preliminary reports about potential financial tampering. I had already asked my legal team to prepare fraud charges, elder manipulation documentation, forged signature analysis, and a full financial audit trail. The trap had been baited months ago. Today was simply the day they walked into it with their eyes wide open and their smiles still on their faces. As the movers shut the back of that truck, I quietly picked up my phone and sent 3 words to my lawyer. They took the bait. Then I looked up at Emily, who was smirking like a woman who had just won a war. She had no idea the war had not even started yet. The next 48 hours were a masterclass in silence used as a weapon. I played the role they had written for me. Quiet, stunned, compliant. I stayed in their guest room. I ate at their dinner table. I listened to Emily make condescending remarks about fresh starts and irresponsible daughters and the importance of having people in your life who make the hard decisions for you. I smiled when it was appropriate. I said very little. Meanwhile, my lawyer and I moved like shadows behind every wall. Every forged document had already been reported to the authorities. Every bank transaction Emily had interfered with over the past 6 months had been flagged and documented. My father's signature on the fraudulent sale contract had been submitted to a handwriting expert, and the analysis came back exactly as I expected. Confirmed forgery. By Friday morning, everything was in place. I walked downstairs that morning unhurried, completely calm. Emily was at the kitchen counter stirring her coffee and humming to herself with the satisfaction of a woman who believed she had already won. She did not look up when she said, "Liv, the buyers are finalizing payment today. You'll thank us someday when you see how responsibly we've handled things." I sat across from her. "Is that so?" I said. She glanced up, and something in my expression made her pause for just a fraction of a second. My phone buzzed on the table. A message from my lawyer. Filed. Court accepted emergency injunction. Sheriff has been notified. I set the phone down slowly. Then came the knock at the door. Emily jumped. A fist-pounding, official, and heavy. The sheriff stepped inside, badge catching the morning light, voice leaving no room for argument. "Emily Wright. James Hart. You are being served. Fraud. Forgery. Illegal property transfer. You will need to come with us." Emily's face drained of every drop of color like someone had pulled a plug. My father looked at me, older than I had ever seen him, his voice barely above a whisper. "Olivia, what did you do?" I leaned back in my chair and met his eyes for the first time in months without flinching. "Exactly what you taught me, Dad. Measure twice, cut once." 3 weeks later, inside a courtroom wrapped in absolute silence, Emily and my father sat across from me looking pale, exhausted, and suddenly very small. Their attorney argued they had acted out of concern for a daughter who struggled to manage her responsibilities. My attorney responded by dropping a folder on the table so thick it made an audible sound. Inside were recordings, photographs, bank logs, the forged signatures laid side by side with authenticated samples, and the original deed, legally intact, proving I had never lost ownership of that house for a single day. The judge worked through every page. When he looked up, the question was simple. "Miss Hart, do you wish to pursue full charges?" The courtroom held its breath. My father stared at his hands. Emily stared at me with eyes that had finally run out of fire. I took one slow breath and said, "Yes, but not just fraud. I am also filing for a full restraining order, and I am reclaiming every cent that was taken or redirected without my consent, including all profits they anticipated from the sale." Emily's mouth fell open. My father whispered my name like a prayer I was no longer answering. The gavel came down. Everything they had tried to take was legally restored. Their accounts frozen. Their names flagged in public record. Their reputations, the carefully constructed image of a concerned family doing right by a struggling daughter, gone. As I walked out of that courthouse into clean afternoon sunlight, my phone buzzed one final time. My lawyer. "It's done. You're free." I stopped on the courthouse steps and looked back only once. They thought locking me out of my own home would break me. They thought a forged signature and a moving truck would be enough to erase 12 years of my life. They forgot one thing. Women who have been underestimated their entire lives do not break under pressure. They build strategies inside it. And that door they locked me out of? I still own every single inch of it.